Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Juan Carlos Pereira. I'm the Executive Director at the Spain-US Chamber of Commerce in Miami. Welcome to this webinar hosted by the Spain-US Chamber and by Setoa, where we will discuss the impact of COVID-19 in the supply chain and how to mitigate the risk. Today, we have the pleasure of introducing you two experts with more than 40 years combined of experience in logistics and supply chain. And the first one is David Martinez, Managing Director of Setoa USA. He has been working in the logistic industry for close to 20 years with experience in nearly all relevant areas: branch manager of Messina Line, ship owner, line manager of APL in Valencia, ship agent, operations coordinator in Marítima Valenciana, container terminal, and managing director of Setoa, freight forwarder. And we also will have with us Gabriel Rodriguez, president at A Custom Brokerage, and also president at Florida Customs Brokers and Forwarders Association. Gabriel has been broker for more than 20 years, and he's serving right now as president of FCBF, which is the largest association of logistics in Florida. This webinar will last 20 to 25 minutes. We will try to go straight to the point so that we could cover the most relevant things. And after those 20 to 25 minutes, we will leave 10 minutes for questions. Each of you would have in the right side of your computer a control panel. Check where it says questions. Anyone that would like to address a question to the panelists, you just need to write down the question and send it, and we will forward it to the panelists. If you would like to address the question to one of them specifically, to David or Gabriel, please at the beginning of the question, write his name, David or Gabriel, and so that we could redirect it to the right person. Without further ado, we would like to introduce David Martinez, and we shall start then. Thank you so much, and I hope that it's interesting and useful for you. David, your turn.
1 second. Okay. Can you hear me now? Yes. Good morning, everyone, and thank you very much for attending this webinar about the current situation of the supply chain. We are living moments of certainty, and we are experiencing how the world, or how the world, the way we know it, changed completely in a matter of a few weeks. With full countries on lockdown because of the coronavirus crisis, we may question how we can keep having access to everything we need in the personal level, including the toilet paper, or how companies are able to receive the commodities they need for the production or distribution. Supply chain is the mechanism that makes all this possible, and while having a supply chain that works is always essential, it's even more critical when we're facing difficult times. Today I'm going to try to explain how the situation is and what we can expect to happen tomorrow, keeping in mind things can change again in a matter of days or even hours. I'm going to continue with the help of a presentation so you can have a better view of what I'm explaining. In case you're interested in having it, you will have access to the PowerPoint later through this platform. Maybe it's even available now, I don't know. Or if you send me an email later, I will be more than pleased to send it to you. Okay, let me see. How can I do this? Okay. I think you can see it. Very good. Okay, so this is the presentation, and now we start with what is Setoa. Well, what this says is that we are giving Setoa, we're giving our clients a very good service based on the experience we have dealing with all kinds of circumstances, also in difficult times. For example, during the Ivory Coast Civil War 9 years ago, we are always ready to give you solutions for your logistic needs. And here you can see also where we have own offices. Of course, here in the USA, also Italy, Spain, Senegal, Mali, Ivory Coast, Ghana, Gabon, Cameroon, Burkina, Congo, and China. Key components of supply chain. This is a small and very simple chart, just to give you a very fast idea about the basics of supply chain. Starting from the right, first, we have the supply of raw material of any product that we need to incorporate, to elaborate or manufacture a product. Therefore, we will have the supply of the material himself and the transport to the manufacturer's premises. Well, all the processes required, of course. This movement of commodity can be local, national, or international, of course, and each one of them will have different requirements. Once the product is finished, we need to put it on the market. Maybe we're going to keep it somewhere for a certain time, and this is why we have here the option of the warehouse, or maybe we can go directly to the market, and this can be done through different distribution channels, through distributors, directly to the client using online platforms, etc. Obviously, this process can also be local, national, or international, and will require different procedures. At the end, we have a happy customer. I don't know if you can see his face, but I'm sure he's smiling, and we're all very happy, which is basically what we want, right? Okay, and now we are going to see what situation we're facing right now. I'm not going to talk about the coronavirus at all. I'm sure we are all over-informed about it. But once most of the countries have started to implement lockdowns, let's see how the supply chain is affected. Situation in Spain. This is a webinar for the Spanish Chamber of Commerce in the USA. So I'm going to focus on the situation of Spain and the USA, but I will talk briefly about Italy and China, because both are very important markets for the USA, very affected by the coronavirus as well. And because Setoa, we have offices in both countries. So let's start with maritime services. Right now, the vessels are sailing and normal routes are still in progress, so no special change here. All ports in Spain are open, even though operations are slower because of the measures taken to reduce the risk of infection for stevedores and other workers. Same happens in Italy. We still have access to empty containers in Spain, and sometimes the special equipment like open tops, high cubes, or platforms are more difficult to find. However, we find a way to get them, and so far we have been able to get all the reefer containers needed for the foodstuff we ship to the States. Space on vessels is not a problem right now, so we are able to accommodate the cargo without any problem. So far, so good. But now our services is a different story, especially from Italy. As you will know, passenger flights have been cancelled, and therefore there has been a huge reduction of the space available. There are cargo flights on a daily basis, but because right now the demand is higher than the offer, there have been a big price increase. Not so much from Spain, but definitely a big increase from for the commodity coming from Italy. The customs are working very well. Fortunately, today nearly everything is done telematically, and brokers don't need to go to the customs anymore. Most of the inspections also have turned into documentary inspections. And when the presence of the inspector is required, there are certain days and hours available. The depots are working pretty well, no problem for the group of services, which are still available. They're definitely implementing systems to protect the workers, but nothing that changes the service. Same for the trucks. They're working normally, even better in some cases, because the roads are basically empty. Services for containers, general cargo, group purchase, small deliveries, everything is working pretty well. So now we have factories, and this is where we can find the important factor, in my opinion. Most of them are open in Spain, if not the production, at least the part of the loadings. And as long as the factories remain open, we will be able to get the products to the clients. But some of them, especially in Italy, have started to close completely. Now in Italy, approximately 50% of the factories are closed, while in Spain, most of them are still open. We're going to see now the situation in the USA. Situation is basically the same as I said for Spain or Italy. All figures inside the supply chain are ready to offer our services as long as the companies are open to receive the commodity, of course. All ports are open and operating under semi-normal conditions, but in most of them, all terminals are open and operating. It's true that Port Houston closed for 1 day because there was a worker infected with coronavirus, but following completion for cleanup and disinfection work, Port Houston began vessel operations the following day. Port of Miami also all this Monday and Tuesday, and will begin closed next Monday due to extremely low imports volumes caused by black vessel sailing, but nothing to see with the coronavirus itself. Air services are working in the same sense that when an air shipment arrives to the USA, all figures involved do the work to prepare and deliver the goods. So the problem here is not local. It's all about the flights arriving. If there is a flight arriving, everything will be placed in order. Trucks are working normally, same as Italy, Spain, and same for the customs, working well, and has been commented that some kind of flexibility when paying the taxes is going to take place. Here in the USA, we have the privilege to be partnership with a custom brokerage, a company with more than 40 years in the market, whose president, Mr. Gabriel Rodriguez, is also president of the Florida Custom Brokers and Forward Association. Gabriel, who was introduced before by Juan Carlos, will be later participating, giving us further information about this. They are operating well, but there are a lot of companies that cannot receive the containers right now. So most of the bonded warehouses are full. As you know, a bonded warehouse enables company to store goods imported from other countries without having to pay any import duties and VAT until the goods are sold on the local markets. And there was a meeting this week where this matter was treated, and some people requested to convert regular warehouses in bonded ones, but as far as I know, no decision was taken. Maybe Gabriel can comment on that. So the conclusion about the current situation is basically that we are all working hard to help sustain our economy and support the millions of consumers that are dependent on the logistic chain during this big, difficult time. In China, the situation now is completely different. Nearly all companies are back working very hard and putting a lot of effort to recover everything they couldn't do the time the lockdown was in place. Through the experience, we can see the light at the end of the tunnel, right? If we are able to work all together and respect the lockdowns, we will be able to get out of this soon too. So after we know how is the situation, we should see what we can do to mitigate the risk, and especially to be prepared for the day we can go back to our normal livings again. So this is hands-on supply chain management. What we have to do? First, obviously, prioritize health and safety as well as compliance with regulatory changes. Consider adding insurance policies, that's very important. Secure storage options early. We know we have seen before that especially bonded warehouses are already full, particularly for perishable goods. Communicate with critical suppliers, identify backups. Review contracts and identify force majeure, rights and responsibility clauses. Identify potential employee concerns and communicate with your customers. Be aware of potential disruptions in the demand. Okay, flexible logistic strategies. We always need to be flexible, but especially when we're facing these kind of situations completely out of the norm, we need to be ready to adapt, and we need to do it fast. It's unclear how changes in regulations and demand will impact port and customs operations in the coming months. So it's basic that we are flexible. Stay informed and streamline communication. Keep your team calm and aligned by focusing their efforts on areas they can control. Leadership will look ahead to identify new opportunities, and that's very important. New opportunities for the business and your customers. Every department, from purchasing Operations, sales, finance, and legal needs to be active in communication. And now, for me, the most important part, prepare for recovery. I was talking to a client last week, and he was very concerned about all the situation, but his main concern was not what is going on today, but the day after. He knew he will probably have to close for a couple of weeks, but he wanted to make sure he will have the commodity ready the day everything is open. And he was asking me all kind of questions about vessel coming, how to deliver the container, etc. I think it's a very interesting approach, and it's the way we should face this right now. We need to be prepared for the day after. And now I would like to introduce again my friend and partner, Mr. Gabriel Rodriguez, so he can give us his take on this matter.
Thank you, David.
Gabriel?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. So, David, I just want to give a very brief summary on some of the points that you said. I just want to reiterate to everybody, a cargo, trade, ports, airports, truckers, customs brokers, freight forwarders are all considered essential business. They're considered essential business by the local counties, by the state, and by the federal government. So we are open for business. Most businesses like ours are working remotely, but we're no strangers to working remotely. We know how to set up from home and be able to continue business as normal. So that's point number one. I just want to reiterate, most of the operations in trade and logistics in the supply chain are operating 100%. The second point is that in regards to U.S. Customs, they as well are working 100%. There are some offices around the country here and there that are shutting down the office physically for one day or another to clean or to disinfect, or because one agent or another has maybe come down with the coronavirus. But customs offices are completely open. They're operating. Most customs staff is also able to work from home, as well as the partnering government agencies, which would be your FDA, your Fish and Wildlife, your USDA. They also are operating on a remote basis if they're not in the office themselves. And so operations from a government standpoint continue. There is, in fact, a small slowdown in the examination of containers. That may take an extra day just to accommodate the social distancing and issues like that. But we are seeing that that cargo continues to move. And you mentioned a very key point in there regarding duty extensions. As part of the Florida Custom Brokers and Forwarders, we have the national organization, which is the National Custom Brokers and Forwarders, and we approached U.S. Customs late last week about extensions on duty payments. Just as the government is coming up with this $2 trillion stimulus package, cash and liquidity is probably the most important thing in a small business owner's mind right now. And so at federal level, they've given extensions on paying for taxes. We've asked U.S. Customs to give extensions on the payment of duties. As of right now, they did have a reply that they will consider this, but they have not come out with specific details on that, and we were following this up on a daily basis with U.S. Customs. We do anticipate that we'll have news on how to specifically do that, probably no later than today or tomorrow. And there is an email that we can send requests to, but that email is being inundated by a lot of requests, so responses are coming back slowly. We do expect guidance again in the next day or so, and we'll be more than happy to publish that once it comes out. You mentioned warehousing space, and between the same U.S. Chamber of Commerce, the Florida Custom Brokers and Forwarders, and World Trade Center Miami just yesterday conducted a survey of our memberships, and we were able to identify over 30 facilities with over 800,000 square feet of space available for the use of members and of the community. So if there is anybody that is lacking warehouse space, needs warehouse space in order to move goods at this time, please feel free to reach out to the Chamber or the Florida Custom Brokers or to the World Trade Center Miami, and we'll be more than happy to connect you with those facilities that have space. One final note for many people have been calling, texting, sending emails about the importation of personal protective equipment, PPE. These would be the masks, the face masks, gloves, and perform for the medical field. These products are being streamlined by FDA right now for the admittance into the United States. Locally, we've discussed with both of our port directors here in South Florida, and they are very open here with U.S. Customs and FDA in ensuring that if there are shipments of any of these personal protective equipment, that they be admitted as promptly as possible into the United States. So if there's any questions on that, we'll be more than happy to assist with that as well. And with that, David, it's pretty much the information I wanted to ensure that we communicated to our viewers here.
Okay, Gabriel, thank you very much. I appreciate a lot your comments, and now you can all add your questions in the panel, so I can read them and reply. Obviously, you can write me in English or Spanish, no problem at all. And please let us know if you want me to reply or Gabriel. And
I see the first question there, David, and the question is, when a container is downloaded into the port, usually you have to pay some amount each day that is not taken out of the port. Are these fees still in place? So the answer is yes, those fees are still applicable. You do have between 4 to 5 days of free time when a container is unloaded from the vessel and it's made available for you to pick up the container and move it. If you are unable to move it, I would suggest that either through your freight forwarder, customs broker, or again, if you want to reach out to FCBF or to the Spanish Chamber, we can try to assist in mitigating any additional costs. But yes, those fees are still in place.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much. I don't see we have any question. In any case, we'll remain open. You have my email address. Well, you can send it to miami@setoa.com, or in the presentation there will be my email right there. So anything you need to know, please let us know. And thanks very much, everyone, for being here with us in these difficult times we are going through. But let's try to find opportunities, and especially let's be prepared for the day after. Okay, and thank you very much. Thank you.
Hello, David and Gabriel. So thank you so much for being part of this webinar today. I think we have also another question here, and it's regarding the concerns that we heard on radio and TV about some truck drivers, that they are afraid to come down and go to work because of the potential shutdown while they are far away from home. I know that Gabriel mentioned before that everything related with logistic is considered essential services. So I believe that in case that a truck driver during his job is caught in a lockdown anywhere in the U.S., they will be allowed to return to their home. But I don't know how the companies, the distribution companies, are addressing these concerns on the truck drivers. And I would like to know if you feel that this is something that is impacting the distribution right now. Thank you.
Well, I don't find a reason to be scared about that, because as Gabriel well said, logistic is essential service, and they're not going to find any problem about this matter. Maybe Gabriel can comment on that, but I don't think there will be any problem, for sure not in Spain, and for sure not in here, because I mean, especially now that people cannot go out, the deliveries not only to the warehouse, etc., but even to the houses is vital to maintain everything served. So for sure, they are not going to find any single problem on that.
Thank you.
So I for a minute I lost volume on that. There was a question related to truckers being able to be out on the street and being authorized in light of the shelter-in orders. Is that the question?
Yes, that's the one.
Okay, so yeah, just as I mentioned earlier at the beginning of my statements, any business that's related to the movement of cargo, trade, logistics, international cargo is considered essential. And so we have been distributing through the national customers and forwarders that we can do as well. The individual company can simply cite and provide a letter to their individual trucker, providing for them being part of this grouping of companies that's considered essential business, and it will be allowed to continue to be on the street, moving around, obviously following, CDC guidelines of making sure that they use care and caution and social distancing and washing hands and all of that. But as essential business, they will be allowed to continue to work.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you. I don't know if you see any other questions right now.
We don't have any.
Okay. So thank you so much, David and Gabriel, for being with us today. As David mentioned before, the presentation will be shared among all the attendees. You just need to send an email to David. We are going to send you David's email as well through the chat so that you can have his email address and you can send him an email directly. Or if you prefer, you can send an email to the Spain-US Chamber and we will be more than happy to send you the presentation. Please keep updated on the webinars that we will continue providing in the next week related with this COVID-19 crisis. And please stay safe, healthy, and I hope that we will be able to see you again on the next webinar. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a great day.
Thank you, Juan Carlos.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you for everything.